This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room, on Spice FM, on KTN Home for the next 2 hours, and online, Spice FM KE, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. As we begin the hour, CT, what is today's proverb?
One rooster
Moja.
is not
Go.
expected to crow for the whole world.
A rooster is not expected to crow for the whole
Let
world.
me give you a hint. Let the whole world acquire their own roosters, so it isn't just one.
Let each world have its own rooster.
Indeed.
Okay. So you can't come complaining that because my rooster didn't wake you up.
Acquire your own.
Get your own
But
rooster.
if you find the rooster is a bit burdensome, something called an alarm.
You can get one.
Nope, you don't need one. You just need a phone.
Yeah. Yep. Just need a phone. Speaking of phones, technology, COVID-19. 2020 has been a challenging year. Many companies really changing the way they do business. We've seen very many of them going into tech and seeing how we can adopt tech. In fact, even us here in the Situation Room, our hot seat has now gone virtual. We bring in guests on the show every morning via the hot seat where they sit on their own seats, and then we link up with them online via video chat platforms, and we have this conversation. So this year has basically just shifted the way people have been thinking and consuming tech and tech products, especially when it comes to communication. When it comes to mobile and use of mobile phones, and when it comes to penetration of, let's say, smartphone, when it comes to use of data, this is something that has really, really improved. But also even going beyond that, people start thinking about the kind of appliances that you buy. We got into a point where people are really, really conscious of whatever appliance you buy, whether it's energy efficient and all. There are some who have changing tact, and they are thinking of how best can I use the technology, the technological advancements that we have now to make my life easier and smoother, right? So let's have a conversation with a man who is very well versed on these particular matters, and this is the Samsung Electronics East Africa Head of Integrated Mobile. His name is Charles Kimari. Charles, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Welcome to the Situation Room.
Good, thank you so much.
It's good to have you. You are the boss of Integrated Mobile at Samsung Electronics East Africa. What is that? Head of Integrated Mobile. Fancy title, man.
Sounds like a spaceship.
All right. Okay, good. The head of Integrated Mobile actually in charge of mobile device operation within East and Central Africa, and also in charge of integration of mobile to other devices, especially internet and other associated businesses within the region. That is the simple task of this person.
I see. So let's
Correct.
talk about now this COVID-19 period, and tell us about the trends that tech consumers you've noticed with tech consumers during this period. I mean, let's just talk about the whole of 2020 so far.
Okay. Wow. Top technology trends that have emerged, but not necessarily limited to, is you'll see a lot of advancement. You'll see a lot of digital payment platforms. You'll see quite a number of telehealth associated operations, and these actions and development in the trend are basically meant to minimize or reduce or mitigate the spread of the coronavirus, while helping businesses in Kenya and globally stay open and functional. Basically, I tend to believe that this solution shall have a long-term impact, even beyond the COVID-19. So these are just a few of the same that have been having an impact in the global and in Kenya as a whole.
One of the things that we keep coming across, reported, and what we read is that the one sector, one area of business that hasn't actually been very adversely affected by COVID is the area you work in. How true is this? That, in fact, it is said that you had a boom.
It's a growth industry.
Uh, it is it is wrong to take the words from your mouth and say that and humble them. But I would like to confirm that actually the tech industry has quite a lot of advantage in terms of sales, in terms of new ways of operation. And yes, it is true, and I humbly accept that yes, we have been on a growth this year, and it has been one of our most phenomenal years, while we still try as much as possible to mitigate other areas of the same. Key areas that have been on a positive trajectory is areas of like the online business. This has changed from a good to have to a must-have operation, and this is one of the areas that has seen development in a very vigorous way. Actually, it's amazing to actually think that it took a disease to allow us to actually have a boom in the online business. It reminds me of 2000 when the SARS disease came up. There was quite a big boom again on online business. So there tends to be a trend in a certain way that technology will be the area of adaptation. Look at digital and contactless payments. Safaricom, M-Pesa have been phenomenal. Airtel Money, Telcom Kenya, Money Platform have become the norm to use at the present point in time. Homeschooling is just gone off the walls. Telehealth is another area that's coming in whereby we have quite a bit of people actually talking to their doctors with phone prescribed. But this is just scratching the surface on telehealth. Telehealth will boom as internet expansion increases and the speed keep increasing on the scale.
Imagine the same happening. I mean, all of our, I mean, this is what we see. This is what we see happening, not just in Kenya, globally, where use of technology, and like Charles is saying, I mean, it took a health emergency for technology then to have this new, fresh boom. It's not like we're not really growing in terms of technology and uptake of technology. We were. But then it comes to this time and you're forced to stay at home. You're forced not to have physical interactions. You're forced not to want to have a lot of handling of cash. And now mobile money grows. You have to have more and wider communication, especially using data with people. And it has really grown.
I think it's one of the ways, and this is one of the places that you can say that in this sense it's a good thing then that COVID happened, because it had been touted previously that it would be the societies and economies that embrace technology in a certain manner then that would have put their neck out in the future. It is those who would have embraced technology and embraced remote ways of doing business, remote ways of going about your normal social activities using technology that essentially would come out first in line. So maybe then it was an opportunity to actually see what gaps then were present when it came to the technological space in the country, number one. And then number two, seeing really how much more you can do without actually having physical contact. So then maybe then what it has done now is it's opened up spaces and you get people thinking in a different light and beginning more and more to embrace the technology, the technological aspect of things, as opposed to the normal, we must meet and have a coffee in order to discuss.
Yeah.
We must meet and have a face-to-face meeting in order to get things done. That clearly has changed. And maybe this is what it was needed for us to see that there are ways in which you can still do business, but number one, save money, make it more and have more people involved in the process. Maybe this is what needed to happen.
But then there's the other side of things as well. So with COVID-19, there's increased demand for technology gadgets, all right? So let's say mobile phones or laptops and the rest. And then with COVID-19, there's the disruption of supply. So there's reduced movement, and therefore it also means that where you get your goods in terms of transporting your goods from the manufacturing point or from your central warehousing to the shops has also been affected. How has this impacted you, Charles?
Wow. At the beginning, when it all started, there was a crunch. And one of the key things that COVID has effectively been able to do at the onset was disrupt the supply chain management. This was at a global level. Everything depends on another in terms of movement and in terms of assembly. Parts come from different parts of the world. Boxes, screens, dials, motherboards, all these come from different parts of the world and meet at a certain location whereby they are assembled together. And one of the fundamental effects of COVID and it will revolutionize the world is that supply chain management for once globally was affected, and not by war, not by natural disaster, but actually by one act of a simple disease that had actually penetrated the market. So it created a panic, and shipments were suspended, production was suspended at a global level. So to mitigate this, the by design is that we as Samsung had been able to have a robust supply chain management system that allowed us to hold sufficient stocks. Our distributors were in advance holding sufficient stocks in the market, and by the time that the problem was sorted out in a couple of weeks' time, we were able to immediately restart and be able to supply the market. That's why we experienced very minimum levels of shortage on the same. But at a global level, there has been a crunch in terms of normalizing the operations at a bigger scale.
Even looking at the crunch and how sometimes supply then was not possible, don't you see this as an opportunity which was created to then even go out even further for reinvention and creativity and innovation in terms of what technology can actually do in this society now, and now being at the forefront and really pushing for some of these technological advances in Kenya now? Isn't it a perfect opportunity that has been created?
I like the choice of words. And this is not only in Kenya. The globe has been pushed to to adapt certain measures in terms of mitigating and helping life and business to continue. It is a tough choice to make when you say, do we shut down? Do we isolate? Do we sequester ourselves from the businesses? We cannot stop our day-to-day life. We have to find an option, an alternative of the same. And that is why you find the online businesses booming. You find digital and contactless or transactions increasing phenomenally. Why? Because people have to continue transacting. Homeschooling, it was a huge opportunity that has arisen. We are slightly behind on the same on that, but we could do better on that. Our universities, our primary schools, our high schools should be able to have a bit of technology to enable them study at a different scope. So these are the areas that, and I agree with you that we have been able to do things at a very different level. We were able to introduce 4 different tablets within the market that enabled different spheres of the industry, especially at the education level, to be able to adapt the same and apply them to the schooling industry on the same. Correct.
Is this a partnership that you had with the Ministry of Education, or is it just there was a need that arose and Samsung were trying to meet that need?
We have not yet had a formal engagement with the ministry in terms of that.
Why not?
This was purely a need. It was a need basis that was there in the market. And we were able to fulfill it because we had the right devices at the right time. We had the right bigger screens, bigger memory. We had the right product at the right time that enabled us to be able to fulfill the market requirement all over the region on the same.
Okay, and I'm going to ask this question. Why have you not considered having an engagement, or if you have, what are the plans to engage the government? Because COVID doesn't seem like it's going to go away tomorrow, even if we have a vaccine that is accepted as actually being efficacious.
Okay. I may not dwell much into that topic for now, but I can indicate that it's work in progress through different spheres. We don't necessarily have to do it directly as Samsung, but it can be done through other third parties on the same. But I can say there's a plan in progress with regards to that direction.
That's very heartening. Now, let me ask another question. Now, these products that you have, do you have any products that are specifically suited, one, for the hard times in which we are in, and for those who are low income earners?
Oh, thank you so much for that question. Actually, if you check the global rating, our A-series lineup was a top 10 units sold globally. Fastest selling units was the A-series lineup. And one of the devices was the A21 and the A10S. And these two devices are at sub 12,000 shillings in terms of the retail price. And we have as low as 7,000 shillings devices in the market, all the way up to 180,000 shillings. So Samsung covers the full sphere of the environment and the society, with ability to provide at the entry level and at the premium level. But the most important part is that for the A-series lineup, we managed to provide very premium features at the entry level, and this is what sets us apart from all the other competitors at a global level. So moving on to the other section is that Samsung has pioneered through its NOx technology the ability of consumers to be able to buy devices on installment. And this is happening in Kenya and Uganda at the present point in time. And the access in Kenya is very big through M-Copper. We have had a partnership with M-Copper and Safaricom, whereby we have availed devices for entry-level cadre to be able to buy them on installments for over a period of 9 months or 10 months on the same. So this is one of the key areas that we have put forward in terms of covering the scope of the market and making products much more available on that. We are working also on a project whereby we can be able to make tablets much more available and affordable to the students, an installment program, and this is work in progress. And we know we will be able to deliver the same to our consumers.
Definitely during this time, just like you said, there's increased demand for products such as yours, especially for learners, looking at college, university students, looking at the other basic education students. What is it that you're doing? Have you started having conversations, let's say, with the government, the Ministry of Education, the universities, or even the KICD, Institute for Curriculum Development, on how your gadgets can be used to meet this need?
Okay. Thank you so much for picking up on that, because one of the key areas that we are having, actually on this Saturday, we shall be this Friday. Actually, on Friday there's a big donation that is being done by Samsung in conjunction with Safaricom and KICD with regards to accelerated learning program. As much as Samsung is about selling devices, there is the reach that we need to play our hand in the society to support, especially at the learning level. My this weekend will be on Friday will be in Bungoma, where there will be a donation of tablets to in conjunction with Safaricom, who will be providing the data, and the KICD who will be providing the integrated curriculum on the tablet, so that we can have a class whereby we can have students have accelerated learning at different levels in Bungoma. And this can be replicated to other towns or other regions at countrywide in due time. But at the moment, we are focused on at least this initial step, whereby KICD is critical on the project itself.
How many of these products are you issuing out, and why specifically this particular area that you decided to launch it?
The critical factor is the area itself. We picked on an area based on a consensus discussion on where to pilot the project and have it actualized. And Bungoma came up as a default on the same, and the mere fact that we could see there were quite a number of students that were looking at going forward with the readiness of testing out this plan of rolling it out. We are giving out 250 tablets to the school. It's Matumbufu School. It's called Matumbufu School. It's at a very deep remote area of Bungoma on the same. And the critical part of this will be the integration of the curriculum in the tablet and seeing how online we'll be able to accelerate learning on the same. So Safaricom comes in very handy on this because the data is provided. And our follow-up plan is to see how effective and efficient this project will be so that it can be taken forth to other areas. And this is just but one of the areas that we have dealt with. Earlier in the year, we also used devices as a way of alleviating the COVID-19 situation by donating to the frontline health workers 500 devices, mobile phones for coordinating the operations within the field for the frontline doctors and health workers. So step by step, I think we shall get there in terms of supporting the necessary areas that are required or that require Samsung support.
Charles, how do you see Samsung being part of the society? Because I can understand all of this, what you're doing in Bungoma this weekend, in terms of what you're doing with the medical fraternity. However, being part of the community so that it doesn't mean that you have to wait for something like this to happen. But where do you see yourself fixed as a company involved in the matters of the domiciled country? So always a part of what's going on as opposed to contributing when something goes wrong.
Okay, that's a good point on the same, and I must admit that corporates need to take a bigger responsibility in terms of playing a very critical role in reinforcing the operations of the government, the existing systems in place. One key area that Samsung will be playing a role now and in the future will be more on the educational area. And this, we have realized that digital readiness is what Samsung is. Digital is not, it's plug and play for us. Mm-hmm. So this is one area that we can seamlessly integrate our expertise into the society, especially in the education sector, to help enhance ability of remote learning, ability of remote working, ability to provide some of our technological know-how, especially on the NOC security software that we normally have that enables remote controlling of devices. So at the technology level, Samsung can come in and take a proactive role and support the existing infrastructure to be able to move forward with the same. Correct.
Thank you very much, Charles, for speaking to us today. And because you're here and you've been talking to us for the last 26 minutes, I think it's important that tuachie kitu kidogo. Some 2 giveaways, right?
Right.
So let's actually just have some couple of giveaways, some 2 giveaways to our listeners and viewers this morning. Just going onto our social media platforms, trying to see your understanding of Samsung and Samsung products and how they've been launched in the country. Can I just ask the 2 questions and you tell me whether those questions are appropriate, Charles?
Yep, should.
So the first one, let's talk about this new product that you just launched this year. And this is the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE. So the question is, when was this Samsung Galaxy S20 FE launched? This will be month and year. When was the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE launched? How is that for a question?
Fantastic. That's a good question.
That's a good one. So then let's go a couple of years back and then ask ourselves about the Note, because we know that the Samsung, you've had the Samsung Note for a while in the market. So the other question, Note, would be, when was the first Samsung Note announced to the market?
Good question.
Those 2, right?
I like this question.
Okay.
I like this question. Right.
So Now that Charles is okay with those questions are out there. Samsung questions, Samsung giveaways this morning, Samsung hampers to give away this morning, courtesy of Mr. Charles Kimari. He's the Samsung Electronics East Africa Head of Integrated Mobile. Just go to our Twitter and Facebook pages. Spice FM KE on Twitter, Spice FM KE on Facebook. When was the first Samsung Note announced in the market? And when was the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE launched? Answer any of those two questions, you stand a chance of winning one of these two hampers. Our social media producer, Mr. Brian Amulioto, will make the decision and then we'll announce the winners later. Charles, have a good day, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you for hosting us. Have a good day too.
Cheers,
Thank
Charles.
you.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.